Welcome to the Pay Yourself First podcast. My name is Chris Jolly, and I'm on a mission to financially empower millions of entrepreneurs. I want you to make and keep more money so that you can begin implementing and turbocharging a plan for creating financial freedom your way during the life cycle of your current business without spending a ton of time or becoming a professional investor. You see, most of the financial teachings out there are made for employees, not entrepreneurs. If you wouldn't listen to someone who doesn't have kids about parenting, why take business financial advice from someone without a business? Are you ready to break free of bad advice and follow the trail of other uncommon entrepreneurs so you can get from where you are now to the lifestyle you were aiming to create when you started your business? Then stick around. Here comes another episode of Pay Yourself First, where the only investment we offer is the one you make in yourself. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm very excited as always because we have another amazing entrepreneur on today, and her name is Kathleen Kruger. She's calling in from Minnesota, and she is a content writer. She's got a content writing agency called Crafter of Words, and she has a new book that just came out. Kathleen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm inside where it's warm.
That's a good thing to be when you're in Minnesota. I can't imagine trying to do this podcast in 9 degrees, and I'm guessing you probably have a bit of snow there right now too?
Yes, we got another big dump yesterday.
Okay, yeah, I haven't recorded anybody doing a podcast from outside in the snow, but that might be fun at some point. All right, just first, thanks for taking some time out of your day to meet with me and to be on the podcast and to share all the great stories I know you have for our audience. So I really appreciate that.
I'm glad to be here. I always love to share about my business. It's been one of the best choices I made in my life was to go out from being an employee to being self-employed.
Yeah, and so many entrepreneurs say the same thing. So why don't you do that? Share about your business with us and your business journey and tell us how you got started with Crafter of Words, who you help, and where you're at right now.
All right, thanks. For over 20 years, I was a bookkeeper, worked in an accounting department for a construction company. So numbers, business strategy, that type of thing, I was very familiar with. And in 2008, bad things happened in real estate and construction, and I got laid off, but I found another part-time bookkeeping job right away. But my dream had always been to be able to work from home and have more flexibility in my time. I tried a couple times to try and start my own little bookkeeping business that didn't go very far. But in 2009, I started writing, mostly poetry, and posting it online. And that's where I discovered freelance writing. It was like, oh, some people are actually trying to make some money with their words. And writing was something that always just came very natural to me. So I really never thought much about it as far as a skill set. So I started exploring that and set myself a goal to try and replace my income from the bookkeeping and switch to freelance writing, to try and do that within a year. And it took me 11 months, and I accomplished that. Was able to quit my job and have enough income coming in from freelance clients. One in particular that allowed me to do that. I loved what I was doing. I was mostly writing blogs on various topics. This was 2010, 2011, so a lot of the lists of 10 and that type of thing, which I really enjoyed, and kept looking for additional clients online. So I had found a couple sites like that and was gaining clients, but it didn't take long, just a few weeks actually, before I had some times where I had more work to do in 1 week than I really had hours to do, but that wasn't a continual thing. And so I called on some of the writers I'd met online and said, can you help me out? Just get through this rough period. I'll pay you percentage of what I get. And so I got some help getting through those busy times without giving up clients. As the months went on, I found out this issue with having more work than I could do myself never went away.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. And I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have 6 different writers helping me out and I'm making money, but not any more money than I was before because I was paying them 90% of what I was bringing in. And so I had to take a step back and reevaluate and say, okay, am I going to continue this? And if I am, I need to make it financially sustainable so that as the company grows, my income also grows with it. And so I did some changing in how I paid my subcontracting writers and started focusing on, okay, now I have an agency. It's not just me. And that was actually a lot of fun. Most of my clients were marketing firms or website design firms. And that worked really well with my team of writers because I didn't have to go out so much looking for the clients. The marketing firms were out there looking for clients. And as their businesses built, my business built. If they had a high surge in writing needing to be done at a particular time, I could add on more writers. And when the surge went down, then, well, I don't have extra work. I have my core team that I always try to keep busy. So that went really well. It's been a fun journey. I would say the people that I learned the most from were actually my clients. Many of them were very willing to teach me what is good SEO writing. Where do we want the keywords? What kind of keywords do we want in there? What's a meta description and how do we want that written? Different styles for different types of clients. You got one client who is really all about pushing their company. Somebody else, they want really just informational, low key, not salesy at all, adjusting to those things depending on what the client wants. In addition to writing blogs for businesses, website copy has also been a key part. And that's, again, very interesting to see the difference between the approaches of different companies and website designers. We have one company that we write for, and most of their websites, new websites they create, are over 100 pages.
Wow.
They're huge.
That's a big website.
Yeah. And we do several of them a month.
That seems like it would keep you busy.
Yes, it does keep you busy. They focus mostly on local SEO and service-based companies, so dentists, lawyers. They're really focused on the SEO part. I don't know if you ever thought about dental advertising, but having written many dental websites, there's not a whole lot of distinction between one and the other. So their whole focus is I need to be near the top in the search for local search for people to find me. And so the large websites with a page on every single type of service you offer is what helps bring them up to that. And then new content with blogs on a regular basis also improves that SEO. We've learned a lot about what works and doesn't work and how different marketing companies approach it. They're the only ones that we have a client with that does those huge websites, but they've been around for a long time and it seems to be working really well for them.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask you, Kathleen, for entrepreneurs who aren't sure if they need copywriting or think, you know what, I can just do this myself, what would you tell them about why they absolutely do need somebody who knows what they're doing to write their copy?
There's several reasons. The number one that I see is, will you actually get it done? I got hired to write website copy for a client, a website designer, and the owner said, I will provide the copy. It was a year later and he still had not provided copy.
Oh no.
It just wasn't, he had other things and he really didn't know what to say and all of those things. So I've ran into that situation a lot of times where people think I will do it because I'm the best one. I know my company, but they just don't have the time. And surprisingly, not everybody can actually talk about their company in the way that it should be. What might sound important, they might think is important, like the history of how isn't always what's important to the client. And that's what a good copywriter will bring out. Doing a website, I always interview the client personally, because then when he says something, I can ask questions. What does that mean? Or why did you do it that way? And get some of those key points of what really makes their company different and what makes them stand out and unique. I've had some marketing companies just give them a form to fill out. That usually doesn't work very well.
Yeah, you can't learn much about people from a form.
Yeah, it's a way too limited. So a good copywriter is going to want to actually speak to somebody so that they can ask questions and get the information they need. The other thing is understanding how to write to the reader and pull them in. I have a specific process that I go through, what I say first, what I say next. There is a progression of thought that goes when a person is reading. The same is true with blogs. People, when they look at a page on the website, the first thing is, do I want to take the time to read this? And to do that, the first thing they look at is the title. Does that grab me? Does it say, this has something for you that you might be helpful to you? And then after that, surprisingly, people don't understand this, is that next thing they read are the headlines. They don't just start reading the article. They look at the headlines and say, okay, is there really information here for me? So good headlines are critical for a reader to tell them, yes, if all your headlines are saying is something generic that could apply to anything, let's go now, or, information you need to read about what? Headlines are critical for the reader. They're also critical for your SEO. Google reads the same way. They read the title, they read the headlines, and maybe the first few sentences. And that's where it determines the value of the content and what the content is about. What search words should I connect this to? A trained copywriter that has some experience will understand how to write good headlines, how to write a great title, and how to carry that reader from the point of looking, reading, and then taking some action as a result of what they read.
I love it. Those are all so many great pieces of wisdom. If you don't hook them in that first second or two, they're clicked on to the next thing. They're checking their Facebook or looking at the news or whatever. It's funny. I had a friend and she hired these people to do her website, and they did a beautiful job on the design of the website, but they also wrote her copy. And I looked through this and I said, hun, where are these people from? They were from Bangladesh. And so you could tell that English wasn't their first language. And so actually I got roped into rewriting her copy for her just because I couldn't let her leave it like that. But yeah, it's so important to know your client and to make sure you have somebody who knows what they're doing and at the very least speaks the same language you do as their first language, or at least proficiently and fluently.
Yeah. And it's actually been, website copy became my specialty. And so that was one of the things with my team. They continued to provide for my marketing firms and high volume writing. But because I had them doing that, I had the time to work on a specialty and for myself, where that became something that I could charge a higher level for. I don't write the 100-page websites. They could do that. They could do 10 different dental websites. That's fine. I'm not doing that. I like to write for very specific entrepreneurs who really understand the value that I provide, and for website designers who also understand that. I spent some time actually trying to educate a lot of website designers who were just having the customer provide the copy and say, you're really missing out here. Your websites are not going to sound as good. Like you said, they may look great. If the message, the words, they're not going to convert. And in addition, website designers, when they hire me, then it becomes part of their service that they're actually charging for and making a percentage off of. It increases their revenue. If they're not wanting to pay for it, then you have not explained to them the value that comes with paid copy.
I think that's such a key point. If you don't think you need good copy, it's because you don't understand how much better it converts and you don't get the return on investment. Because if I told you, hey, just making better copy could make you 3 times more money, who would not jump at that?
Right.
So you were talking about that now you get to write what you like to write and don't have to focus on, say, 100-page dental websites. So speaking of what you like to write, can you tell us all about the book that you have?
Sure. As with many entrepreneurs, it's easy to say, I should write a book. And so a few years ago, I started one and I got about 80% done, and there it sat for a while. Last year, 2 years ago, I finally decided I need to get it finished and tell the story of how to build a business by hiring other freelancers and the benefits of doing that, some of the pitfalls that you can run into and how to avoid them. So, being the smart writer that I am, I hired one of my writer editors to help me finish it, which was great because he also added his perspective on what drew him to subcontract and how he is now building his business using the same model that I have. The book is called Hey Freelancer, Go Clone Yourself.
Love it.
And it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, all the online places, as well as you can find my page on Facebook. We have a page for the book. But Hey Freelancer, Go Clone Yourself. It's a short 80 pages, really easy to read, but lots of practical advice.
Very cool. Now, I want to ask you a few more questions just about your financial journey in the business. So, what would you say right now the biggest financial roadblock in your business is, or the kind of largest constraint?
Probably would be the fact that I'm 66 years old. And so I'm retirement age and wanting to take more time off, which I have been able to do now. I've been semi-retired from my business for about a year. To be able to do that, I had to have somebody who I could trust to manage the business and mostly do that communication between clients and my writing team and keep everything going. That was hard to find, but I did find, thankfully, in one of my sisters. She came on about 6 years ago, started doing some project management, and got to the place where I was able to say, okay, let's just let you go. And initially, she's ran the team and I just focused on my personal website copywriting. And then last year, I stepped away from that even and just taking a smaller salary as well as my profit off the business, paying her a little bit more, and she's running the business for me. The issues that will come up is if we lose a client, need to replace that. We have a couple of very significant clients. If something should happen with those, that's an issue. And the other thing I'm dealing with right now is what does the future hold? Am I going to sell the business? Am I going to turn it over to other family members? So that's something I'm still sorting out and what's the best situation to deal with on that, but enjoying right now the freedom to be able to continue living my life as it is with income coming in and not having to really touch much of my retirement funds at this time.
Excellent. I'd like to talk about that because we do speak a lot about financial freedom on this podcast. And so as you are able to step more and more away from the business and have more time to yourself, what does that look like to you? What are you going to do with all of that time?
I've started painting.
Very nice.
Which is something I enjoyed when I was younger, but fell by the wayside with raising a family and then running a business. So I've been really enjoying that. I've been doing more writing for magazines and personal typewriting, back into some of my poetry that kind of fell by the wayside. When you write all day long, the creative side gets burnt out. So I'm really enjoying being able to do that. Traveling to see family and friends is also big on the agenda.
Love it. Very cool. So as far as your business for this year, what is like one really big initiative you'd love to get accomplished inside the business this year, or like one thing that you're really excited about?
I am looking to increase some of my rates, and increasing the rates to our clients also bumps up the level to our writers, and many of our writers have become more experienced. I feel like they need to receive a higher level of pay as well. So that's a big thing. I do want to try and bring in a couple more really stable clients so that if something goes down, we still keep our level so that I can keep all my writers working, which is important to me.
Love it. Very nice. All right. It's been an absolutely amazing interview. I'm really glad you're able to take the time and come share some of your wisdom and your story with us. For anybody out there who wants to find out more about what you do or who maybe is interested in getting some copywriting done for them, where is the best place for them to go to do that?
Either one of my websites, so crafterofwords.com is my business website, and also KathleenKruger.com. You can find more about me personally, and my book is also available on my personal website.
Very nice. Now, for anybody out there who loves to write, but maybe was told that there's no money in writing or you'll be a starving artist or that whole thing, because I know so many people go through that. What is your advice to them?
There are so many different types of writing available out there. And especially if you have knowledge in a particular industry or a particular topic, that is a way to get a higher paying writing career going. I know people who are dietitians who have begun making their income from writing, RNs, technical topics, gaming. There's just about anything. When you can focus on, I had accounting as a background and a lot of things, pretty much anything with construction. Those were two things I grabbed onto, and people are looking for writers who already know and don't have to do as much research on a topic, and you'll be paid better if you have a topic or a particular type of writing.
Amazing. Great advice. Kathleen, thank you so much for taking the time to come on today and to share with us. I really appreciated having you on.
All right. Thanks.
Absolutely. And to everybody who's out there, if you're listening to the podcast and you've enjoyed and you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do that for us. And if you can leave us one of those 5-star reviews, that really helps us to get the word out to more entrepreneurs. And if you are an entrepreneur like Kathleen and you would like to come on our show and share your journey to 6 figures and beyond, we'd absolutely love to talk to you on the podcast. To do that,
Go to pyfpodcast.com. That's the letters PYF.
podcast.com, and we'd love to talk. Kathleen, thanks again. Everybody out there,
If you've listened this far, chances are you're an entrepreneur looking to become more financially literate and create financial freedom for yourself from your business.
The Pay Yourself First podcast.
Is definitely here to help with that. My goal is to continue to share what I've learned about using your business as the tool to create financial freedom. But let's face it, it would take me years to share with you everything you need to know via these episodes. Creating financial freedom is something that most people never even consider, let alone make a plan for or take action towards. It's something almost no one was taught anything about. Doing it as an entrepreneur is even more challenging, especially without support. So if you're ready to get clear on what financial freedom looks like for you, come up with an action plan, and get the support systems and accountability you need, I invite you to consider the Abundantly Infinite Entrepreneur. I created the program to help entrepreneurs just like you get a handle on their personal and business finances and start building confidently towards financial freedom. And it's how you can discover ways to take 10 years off your retirement, add an extra 5 or 6 figures to your portfolio, and finally get clear on what numbers you should be tracking in your business and why. Together, we'll gain clarity around your financial goals and what being financially free would actually look like for you. Then we'll put together a customized game plan to get you there and the accountability to see you through. And by the way, you're also going to get all the spreadsheets you need to run your numbers, lifetime access to the materials, including any updates, and entry into our members-only community. In addition to all the knowledge, coaching, community, and systems that you need to create financial freedom from your business, you'll also receive a free financial assessment, a retirement planning session, and guided meditation aimed at helping you embody the feeling of true financial freedom. So yeah, you can just listen to the free content on these podcasts to help you move towards becoming a financially free entrepreneur. And sure, you'll likely see some results, or you can make the decision to commit to learning, implementing, and embodying what you need to know to create the financially free life you dreamed of when you started your business journey. Click the link in the show notes to answer a quick questionnaire, and you'll be on your way to joining the Abundantly Infinite Entrepreneur.